Well, it was actually just a couple days ago I made a video about this super game at Sega that is in the works. It's been in the works for quite a while, and supposedly it could actually connect a lot of their IPs into one game. Now, that is just a rumor at this point, it's just a theory, but I think it's a strong theory. And I actually made the comparison about how this could be like an Avengers style of games, as weird as that might sound. Only instead of Marvel IPs, it's going to be Sega IPs, and obviously it's going to be a video game and not a movie. Well, it turns out I was actually not far off at all. It just came out today that Sega is actually wanting to take a strategy that is very similar to Disney and Marvel. Now, this doesn't actually have anything specifically to do with the Super game, or at least I don't think. Maybe it actually does, who knows? But this is kind of more talking about the overall kind of plan that Sega has going forward with their games. So, GamesIndustry.biz got to chat with a gentleman by the name of Justin Scarpone just recently, and it's interesting because this guy actually used to be an executive at Disney. He was the head of global transmedia. That sounds pretty sophisticated, and I'm not going to pretend that I know 100% of exactly what that entails, but obviously he had a lot to do with planning with Disney, specifically with their media, their movies, and their shows. I'd imagine he probably did a lot of work on Marvel specifically. Now, he had been at Disney for a very long time, and, well, it was actually just February of this year when Sega recruited him to be the executive vice president of a specific division of Sega. I believe this is specifically their transmedia unit. So it kind of seems that he is wearing the same shoes now at Sega that he was at Disney. He's in charge of a lot of this planning ahead for the media at Sega, and it kind of looks like maybe specifically the games. So something that really stuck out in this interview with GamesIndustry.biz is that he basically said that he wants Sega to start going more toward a strategy overall that has a lot to do with how Disney and specifically Marvel plan ahead with their movies. So basically he wants Sega games to be like Marvel movies in the sense of the planning ahead aspect. He compared this to Kevin Feige, who's like the head of the Marvel movies, basically always being several steps ahead of the game and knowing what his 5 or 10 year plan is for the Marvel movies, and he wants Sega to be very similar to that. I think this is very cool because then we could have something much more clear, not just for Sega employees but also for the fans, to look at as far as kind of what their roadmap is for certain Sega IPs, not just one. Yeah, he said he wants to do this with Sega IP, so, it's not just like Sonic. He wants to have this long-term plan ahead, maybe always have a 5-year or 10-year plan. Obviously, things can change along the way, but I think just to have a plan like that set into motion is really cool. Like, if you look on the Wikipedia page, for example, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you can see they have like a whole breakdown of their upcoming movies, and it's actually insane. Like, they break it up into phases. Like, right now they're in the middle of Phase 5, and they even have a Wikipedia page just for Phase 6. Like, I can already tell you that there is already an Avengers, a second Avengers movie, to one that is already planned. We're supposed to get this second Avengers movie called Secret Wars in May of 2027. Yeah, obviously that is 3 years from now, and obviously since that is public knowledge, it's very clear that what is not public knowledge is probably even much more expanded. This is because Kevin Feige and Marvel in general, and maybe Disney in general, they really focus a lot more on having these roadmaps for their IPs. And of course, I guess there are different ways of looking at that. Maybe you could just kind of be, set in stone, you want certain things, and maybe that's going to make you a little less likely to be adaptive if things aren't working out in the moment. So maybe it could have some downsides to it, but overall, I see it as a very cool thing, and it's very clear that Justin Scarpone sees it as a good thing as well. He wants to develop this same transmedia model for Sega as Disney and Marvel. I think that's very cool. I think I've said the word cool a few too many times, sorry about that. But I think it's awesome. I think Sega is very interesting. I think they've got great lore, great IPs, and hey, especially now that they are really getting into the movie side of things, now that the Sonic movies are really doing well, I could see them doing this for their games and their movies, just for their media in general. I think it is a great plan going forward.